Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm Gianna, and welcome to the We Watch It All podcast, where we watch it all and give you our opinions.
AKA the opinions no one ever asked for.
Lost you there for a second.
Yeah.
Cut out.
I was going to say welcome. I don't know. I was going to be like, welcome back to the podcast. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know where I was. I don't know what podcast I was on. But here I am in New Jersey. And it's season 3.
13.
Nope. Season 13 reunion
part 3.
I think that's where I was getting.
We're doing also the Peacock extended version, which is only extended by 6 minutes. We don't even know what the extended parts are. Just so you know, if you're like, hey, I watched it on Bravo and I didn't see that. But I feel like a lot of people watch it on Peacock.
So,
I mean, let's just say this. I probably feel like I could have watched this episode 100 times and still have not 100% clue of what anybody said.
No, and
it was sensory overload.
Oh my god! But look,
the subtitles couldn't even keep up. They just stopped typing.
The whole reunion was the whole reunion was sensory overload. And you said last week you were listening back editing, and you're like, could we sound like we're enjoying this more? No, I honestly. I would love to say I would love to be more like enthusiastic about this, but honestly, I can't because it's like I don't even know what to say because it's hard to know what's going on. Teresa and Melissa were absolutely out of control. I thought they were bad in 1 and 2. 3, they took it to a new level. Which
I have overall thoughts for once we're at the end, but
it explains why they're on pause.
Yeah,
because I think they're thinking to themselves, this can't go on.
I also want to preference this and say that typically we try to go in the order that it airs on the show, if you've ever noticed. I tried. But here's my thing. I think we're going to have to jump around a little bit here because they jump around. Like, it's so hard to keep track of where you are, what they're talking about. So just bear with us that we will probably be going from one Bo Dietl to another Dietl Bop. Because
I don't even really know because to
I don't
be
even
honest,
know where to start with this.
I tried to hit a few of the topics or some of the things I should say that I thought were interesting or that I wanted answered. However, that was the one thing you made a comment about, because of the way they were doing this, it was almost so strategic that if you were smart as a person, you would make sure that every time a question came up, you interrupted or you did something that would cause the thing to get sidetracked or cause them to go into another fight, which is kind of what happened. And then, were we asking why so-and-so did such and such? Not anymore because nobody remembers it. Yeah. And then Andy would have no choice but to kind of move on.
And I think, in a sense, listen, don't be offended by this, but I don't think Louis is smart. I think he's cunning.
Oh, yeah.
He's not smart. He's cunning.
He's cunning, yeah, for sure.
Because
there's a big difference.
I think, because you notice he would make these your time's coming, Joe Gorey, your time's coming.
He said them so under the breath that you almost didn't catch them, but Joe caught him. That's what I'm saying.
And I think that's what he was doing. Okay, let's get everybody riled up. Let's get everybody riled up.
Well, he said that.
I think he was. I think he's smart enough to realize deflect.
No, absolutely. He's definitely
where Teresa is engage.
She can't. Yeah, she can't.
Deflect.
Yeah, she can't not.
Because he did, and I think he tried to do what Melissa.
He was in the bathroom.
Okay, excuse us. We're going to check on Cooper. Okay. He was in the bathroom sink. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. I'm going to snitch on you, Coop. You were in the bathroom sink.
He's coming to you.
Oh, Jesus.
So he starts by introducing the gentlemen, bringing them out. They all, he's got a little, I want to say, it wasn't funny, but it was almost like whatever the worst thing was that happened with them is what he teased them on.
Well, you know that's kind of what was all you could talk about for the guys.
So he really went for it with them. And then he got to Joe Gorgon. He was really serious. He's like, so how are you feeling? He almost whispered it to him. It was a weird thing. And then, of course, Joe says the same thing Teresa said. My heart is broken or whatever. And he's like, that's what your sister said. So I'm not surprised that the two of them feel exactly the same way. But, I mean, right after that, they would get a few little things in. Yeah. And then if anything had to do with Teresa, Melissa, or Joe, it was or Louis.
I don't even know if you caught it because it was quick. They asked about Frank got, oh no, somebody got plastic surgery, one of the guys.
Oh, John Fuda got the stomach thing.
Yes, and they asked if Bill Aiden did it.
Yeah.
And he said no. I don't know, did you catch what Paulie said? Paulie said, No, he probably wasn't able to because he was in the pool house.
Oh yeah, I did hear.
I was like,
Paulie
okay,
was coming with some good ones, and Joey and Bill Aiden laughed.
Yeah,
he did laugh.
He did laugh about it, but I was like, that was a. That was a good one. That was like the little like sneak they had before, like
Paulie
basically
had a couple of them. Paulie had a couple of them. I'm not gonna lie. I pretty much liked him.
They were like the subtitles that the show even had to put on.
Yeah, they had like ones on top of ones. They did mention they have the calendar up in the control room and that they changed it and that it was Frank's month. But they went into Frank and Paulie like a little bit, but the whole thing was basically like Andy asking a question and then everybody diving in. And the only time you really got any answers was like maybe like the Paulie, a little bit of Bill, and like anybody else that came on scene.
Yeah, that was really like it.
Really,
and it's not even anything for us to like honestly talk about because it's such like boring questions like, oh, Joe, do you pick up
it's all
the little boy from the school?
Yeah, like it's all the stuff that we
care.
already know. It was like nothing good.
Yeah,
like,
it was neutral stuff.
Yeah, they showed all the guys having like a good time and playing around. And they do talk about Frank and David and him living together, and they say that him and Brittany. I was surprised to hear that he said he was going to get married.
Yeah.
I could see him doing it, though. I think he thinks he's got it right. And like he said, they mentioned Brittany not knowing like Ireland, and that they don't speak English there, but like he said, that's what makes her. Like she's she's quirky like that, but which I think they're a cute couple together. They touch on Paulie and his not being divorced yet, and one thing that I thought was interesting that they did talk about was, like we said, his needing to be divorced, Paulie.
Yeah.
And they said, which I thought was weird, he said that his wife is okay, well, the ex-wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, is okay with Dolores coming around because he knows he's never brought anybody around, but he made a comment like, not like she had a problem with what she does for a living, but he did say, it's not just like bringing anybody around, it's Dolores Catania. She's in the TV box or whatever he called it. I don't know. He had like a weird way that he said it. So he mentions that his soon-to-be ex-wife, that he's going to get...
Hell broke loose. Okay. Dad's home now. Hell's broken loose still.
We're hoping that's going to help.
I don't know. It sounds like it honestly sounds like they're adding an extension onto the apartment. Like, I don't know what they're doing.
No, it isn't.
And... like, we put the ear to the wall and...
I just started to smell this. Don't that smell nice? Like, I wish I could... Is that that's the bathroom soap? No, I don't think it is. Oh, wait.
It smells like Ashley Tisdale.
No, I did. I put a little roller thing on.
Yeah, that's Ashley Tisdale.
I was in Target and I put a little roller Ashley Tisdale.
We will talk so highly of your perfume.
God,
we
your
love
perfume is so awesome. Everybody tells me I smell so good during the day, and I went to all the ones. I'm like, I don't know. It's something my daughter got, because I don't want... It's not that I don't want to say it's Ashley Tisdale. I just don't want everybody to know my secret, because then everybody starts buying it.
Well, has Ashley Tisdale been name dropped in both our podcasts? We just name dropped her. We talk about it all podcasts as well. Listen, we're Ashley Tisdale fans. Sponsor us. Oh my God. Sorry. I just felt like
I poked your shoulder. All right, pull it back together.
Sorry. All right, let's just get to this drama.
Yeah. So anyway,
because
the only thing that I just want to touch on with Paulie before we move on to someone else is that Andy just kept hinting about them getting married and getting a ring. He really, like, it's almost like he wanted Paulie to pull out a ring from his pocket and be like, look here, Andy, this is what it looks like. He was like throwing out examples, like, is it a clotter ring, like the Irish clotter ring? And like, I hope not too, though, but because that's not really. I don't know what it looks like, it's that the two hands with the heart in the middle and the little crown. You've seen them. I used to have one a long time ago. If you've seen it, you'd know it. TT had one. Yeah. And then here's another one that was disappointing. They kind of, like, did you have anything in between? I was going into Little Frankie. Because this is what I'm saying. It's a two-man team here on this one for sure, because usually I have the main outskirts of it, but this was tough.
I'm trying to think, did they talk about Louis wearing the pajamas before or after Frankie?
I'm not sure, but we could touch on it because I don't have that.
Well, okay, so here's my thing with the pajamas. So he basically...
Don't go through us for timeline order.
No, that's what we said. We really can't because it's so all over the place.
There's some timeline, but not really.
Here's my thing. So I think it was the first thing they said.
Mr. Backtracker. Go ahead.
Andy goes, so...
Can we touch on the pajamas? I think it was before that.
And he kind of says, they play the clip, and he says, well, see, I didn't mean it like that.
Like what?
What the hell do you mean?
Because you obviously know how he meant it, that it was creepy.
Even the way he explained it, I believe what he was trying to say was the pajamas were meant to be for the father. The father died before he could wear them.
Yes. And he explained, I think she explained that on Watch What Happens Live as well, or something, one of the shows that I saw, and that's how
so they were not warned by him. But here's my thing.
But he said it with that intent.
It
he
feels
definitely,
like it.
And
he still said he
did.
wore it to bring them comfort.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Still, like, even though he didn't wear it, you still wore clothes that were intended for a dead man.
Well, a live man when he was alive, but it was still just, I don't know, the whole thing was weird.
It's still weird to me. And I think what makes it weird is just, it's like him. It's his aura, his personality. Yeah, that's what makes it weird that he wore it.
He backtracks on so many things. Like, even that, like, he could have just said, like, I don't know, like, first of all, I wouldn't have thrown that out there. I would have just kept that between the family, first of all, because that was like personal.
I don't see how that's gonna make Joe Gorga feel better about you. That sounds
I try to keep your father's memory alive. Like, you could say millions of other things. Like, that was just weird. I don't know.
Because he also said too, he said that clothes were actually, I don't know if they were supposed to go to Joe Gorga, if they was just, I can't remember if it was just for the father or something.
No, I think they were for the father, and they just never,
he just never got to wear them. But it was just, that's still, it's still weird.
He honestly,
and he never met the parents, right?
No.
So that's what's weirder. It's like, it's not even like it's a man that you had a connection with that you could say, like, you know what I mean?
No, but the only thing I can say on that tip in that respect is, I think it's like the equivalent of, like, those girls and Teresa, they still talk about him as if he's both of the grandparents. It's like they're still very active in their life. So to me, it's like the equivalent of, like, you and Dean, where, like, you know probably more about your grandparents that you never met either than he does, just because I kept them very active in my life. And I think that's how Teresa is. Like, if it's somebody that really talks about their parents and makes sure that they're very present.
I mean, listen, as long as Teresa wasn't weirded out, or those girls, I guess it's fine.
No, but I just think his intention could have been very was meant to be nice.
I'm just saying,
think that was a weird example to do it.
It's weird because it's him.
Like, you could have said, I made sure that the girls each got a piece of, like, his clothing to wear to feel comfort. Like, I don't know, like, him wearing it, I don't see how that.
Your father's memory.
Yeah, just what I'm saying. Just cut it to a chase.
Just went with that.
But he was able to skirt every real answer, or, I mean, I know that wasn't really meant to be like an answer. He was just trying to get him to explain it a little bit, but, like, his explanations were weird. They were backwards. I don't know.
I think somebody cut him off while he was explaining that again. Like, I think somebody cut him off.
Honestly,
probably. You could just assume everybody got cut off because they did.
I don't think that. I think that just kind of, like, fizzed out when Andy realized, well, there's not much to say.
No, there's not much to say. No, there isn't much to say. It's just like, can we just address that?
And then he did kind of move right on to little Frankie and asking about, like, he had a job with him, and, you know, obviously we know a little more backstory because
they showed the clip.
They showed that clip. But when the guys were talking separately, but when they went into it, you thought, okay, here's going to be one where you can't deny. Like, Frank is saying he's coming to play. Yeah, well, then Dolores came in and shut it all down.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Frank said he wasn't even going to bring it up unless they brought it up first. So how are you going to come and say, oh, I'm going to play? Like, and then Dolores, too, with the shutting it down, it's like, the issue is they hyped this up. They had this new big reveal last week. Just to not even say anything.
Now, that's the only good thing. Well, listen, I understand both sides of it. I know she didn't want her son to be a controversial thing or cause any problems more than they were. And I guess whether or not they really are talking, I guess they're okay. And I guess she just didn't want to be responsible for who knows what. And I think, quite honestly, I think she's afraid of Louis, like everybody else is. But I think she wanted to shut it down to say, like, listen, I can't get into it with you right.
Who the hell knows what Patterson Dolores has done in her past that she wants to keep
Well, not even so much that. I think, like, maybe that he would retaliate somehow on, like, Louis, Frankie.
The son or something.
Yeah. And apparently
who the hell knows? They went daughter's a vet. What the hell? The poor animals.
But remember, they went to celebrate him getting that new job. So I think that's what she said. He's got a fabulous job. He's good. He's whatever. And she just wanted to shut it down. And, like, Joe Gorga tried to do it, and, like, they kept knowing. But Andy, at least, thankfully, Andy said, this just is making me have more questions now.
Yeah.
Because he acknowledged the fact that, okay, well, she doesn't want to talk about it, so I guess we're not talking about it, but this just
because she doesn't want to talk about it, now it's like, now something is clearly here then. Yeah.
Like, he's saying, this is just making me think there's more going on here. But again, there's another one he got away with. Whatever went on with this, and here's the thing, I don't think they were looking to go into why he didn't really call Frankie back. I think Joe and Big Frank were trying to go into what happened to the business. Like they wanted to talk about that. Like
why do you have so many failed businesses?
Yeah, like what happened to his business? It just all of a sudden shut down.
This other thing that we talked about a while ago, his media company or something that's getting shut down. Then the thing with Dina's husband, that's another business venture that seems failed. Like, how do you have all this money and you're still failing?
I think that's what they wanted to go into, was saying like
to almost help create a piece of evidence for the
like build a story about what like the businesses. I don't think it was, and they should have went on the angle of like, instead of having to talk about Frankie, they should have said, okay, that's great, but so what happened to the business that you had?
Yeah.
You know, okay, great, you and Frankie are okay, but meanwhile, you had a business, what happened to it? You're always quick to talk about my businesses, because he did it a couple of times to Joe Gorga. He made a comment about some place getting fines and $1 million fines and all like that. So, I mean, they're quick to do that. So I was disappointed, you know, but, you know, there's nothing you can do. But then John, I keep calling him Joe. John Fuda.
I will say the MVP of the reunion here.
Oh my God. Yep. He kept redirecting, and he
tried so hard to get his question answered.
He was not going to let it go.
Until the very end. Till the very moment these men walked off the stage. He did not drop it, and I still believe to this day he probably has not dropped it. And good for you, John Fuda. I believe you're right.
See, like, I don't know the ins and outs of, like, all that really truly happened with him. I know they said that they made contact with his I don't even know if that was his ex-wife or just the mother of his son.
Yeah.
And apparently she must have been in prison. And this is not just something you can find out casually. I don't know what kind of prison she was in, where she was in, or what prison.
I guess but you have, like, you can't just accept calls from anybody in prison. You have to have, like, a list. Like how Teresa would always say, Joe and Melissa,
but
we're not on the list to visit you or something.
I don't know how this happened that they found her, because he kept making it sound like it's not that easy to find. So I don't know if you can't just find if someone's in jail. Like, I don't know if you can just, like, call up and ask is someone in jail. I don't know.
Like
he made it sound like it was very hard to find her. Like, this is not just something that casually happens. Well, you would have to have an investigator do it.
Yeah. You have to keep in mind here too, right? So I feel like evidence might be easier to find on Marge and Dolores and Jennifer Aiden and all these guys who are, like, actively in the scene, but you're, like, researching Danielle and Rachel, who are newbies, who have nothing. They have nothing. I
don't even know if he was doing anything with Danielle, but they kind of go into a whole thing. I don't know at what point they go into it, but I think it was right after this, because the thing with John Fuda gets so intense. He gets so heated and saying, like, oh, I don't know why you had to bring this stuff out. I don't know why you were investigating me. And he's insisting that he wasn't doing it. So Andy keeps trying to, like, get him to answer the questions. But because every time he would answer a question, Teresa would pipe up. Then Teresa would say something, and then somehow that would pipe. Because they did in the very beginning, they did a whole 5 to 10 minutes
of the four of them fighting
over nothing to do with the show, except for the fact that, or nothing that was said on the show, except for the fact that Teresa wanted to talk to her brother and not talk to Melissa, and Melissa's saying, oh, now you want to talk to your brother, but you don't want you don't want him to be your brother. But then I never said I didn't want him to be my brother, but you just said you just. It went on and on, and, like, you can see Andy's just like, dear Jesus, can I go home?
Everybody didn't even.
All of them were like that.
Even looking up. Once again, at one point, Danielle and the boyfriend, the husband. Oh, I'd love some pizza.
Oh, that was Paulie started that.
The three of them, though.
Paulie started that. Paulie leaned over and said, I would love some pizza. And he said, yeah, me too.
Because they mentioned it during the pizza game. They're like, oh, pizza would be great. Thank God they brought pizza out at the end for them. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know if the guys got any. But my thing is, it's like, they're so damn bored, they'd rather talk about hypothetical pizza that doesn't even exist.
And I love that the production is catching them, like, to show, like, this is enough. You don't even have, like, you can just look on the couch. Dolores is, like, head down, twiddling her thumb. She's bored as hell.
If I was them, I'd walk off. Because at this point, there's no point for me to be here. There's nothing that I'm going to benefit from.
And that's why she finally said at one point, she did say something to the effect of, like, just nobody else should talk. That was when Teresa left and came back. And she's like, no one else should talk. They should just talk. But Louis, he does go into a little bit as to why he had Bo Diddley-Doo. I don't even know what his last name. But Andy has to actually yell at them because they're all starting back and forth screaming at each other, and he has to get them to stop because he says to everyone, be quiet. He says, production is in my ear saying that you have security downstairs trying to come up. Yeah. Now, apparently you can't just do this. This was something that was covered on a Watch What Happens Live episode where, like, apparently you can't just have anybody come on the set. Like, I guess they all had to be, I guess they were all still being tested and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
For COVID. I don't know why I was still surprised, but they were saying that they still treat it like the whole COVID set. Like, you can't just come on.
Yeah.
They
Plus,
wanted
there's still safety measures, so they don't know who the security guy is trying to get on.
They wanted to know who he was.
You could come up in your little coat and pop up and say, "Hey, I'm here."
Here I am. That's where I was when I was working. You didn't know. I was.
You were sent by Bo Dietl?
I was sent by Bo Dietl. He said,
God.
"Go help." Be the one. Yeah, so Louis basically says that he didn't send them, that it was the person was sent by the Bo Dietl.
Which, why would he send? Like, you have to be having a conversation with him to know what's going on in your life.
That's the funny thing is he said multiple times that he's a good friend of his. He said that he had information. He backpedaled on all of that.
And one thing he said too, a lot of the times was, "Oh, what I said was taken out of context." Like, when they question him and they say, "Well, why did you hire Bo Dietl?" And he goes, "I never hired Bo Dietl." And then they go, "Well, you said it the next day. You doubled down on it." Yeah. And then that's when a big fight broke out, and he never had to answer for that question of why he answered Bo Dietl, because then they jump back and they'd be like, Marge is like, "Oh, you called my kid. Oh, you called the wife in the prison."
Yeah.
And
I think they all had.
He never
I
answered
think they
that
all.
question.
Each one of them had something they wanted to get out on him, and they were just so.
Oh,
you okay there? They were so focused on it.
I guess he got the Bo Dietl call.
Oh, maybe he's off. He said basically the reason that he was even doing anything, or that Bo Dietl was looking into anything, was because he was being harassed. And whoever the person that was harassing him...
but he made that sound like that was just this past week. The harassments.
Well, the threats were this past week.
Oh, okay.
But apparently there's something that's been going on with Margaret, that Margaret's been talking to, I don't know, that's been harassing them. So, and something about blogs being sued or having charges brought against them. I'm not sure what that whole thing was. But that's why he said he was looking into another case of harassment. But I don't understand, like, then why would you look into each one of them?
Housewives? Like, you could just look into Marge, sure, I guess. If she's the housewife you think is involved.
Yeah, so why did you have to do that whole thing? It makes no sense.
Because honestly, if you were going to, let's just say we go down a chain here, and we're going to look into Marge because we think she's talking to the woman that's talking about this, then that might point you to that other girl who wanted to get on the show.
Laura.
And who would that point you to? Jennifer Aiden. Mm-hmm. So you should have been looking at her, your friend. But I bet he did.
I don't know. They did say they had something on everybody, so who's to say? But the funniest part is the way they pieced together this, like, coming attractions. They made it sound like they took a lot of his good one-liners and quick one-words and put them with other things to make it look really interesting, because the whole Let's Play thing, I thought it was directed towards Joe or John Fuda. It wasn't. It was for Margaret.
Yeah.
Well, after they, like, attack Margaret and they go back and forth with that too, then they start asking, Frank asks, like, the serious question, like, did you hire Bo Dietl to do a smear campaign on me and Joe? And then Melissa jumps in and says her too or whatever. Yeah. And again, goes back and forth, and forth.
You know what I thought about too was, I personally feel like, and I still do a little bit, but leading up to the season, I did see a lot of hate for the Gorgas, like a lot. Now I don't know if people's opinion just shifted by
like
watching this season.
And stuff. Like they were
it was
picking
like
on
a lot
their
of
house.
unnecessary hate that, like, it's just like, it's their house, leave them alone. It's their whatever. You don't like them, but you don't have to. It's their house. But now, not as much hate. But here's my thing: is it because people are watching and seeing this? Is it because they caught on to the smear campaign, so they pulled back from doing it? Like, I don't, it's obviously, like, you don't know what it is, but I do feel like leading up to the season, like, I'm still seeing people fight hard for Louis. Like, I saw on Instagram someone said it's towards the end, right when the guys leave, and he goes up to Rachel and he's like, oh, you know what, I'm so happy to see what you're doing as a mother and at adoption. And somebody said that they respect Louis. It took him a lot of courage to do that. No, it
didn't. That's what he does.
No, it doesn't. That's his MO that Melissa said.
Joe said that.
Melissa said in past episodes.
Yeah, she did say it in past episodes, but Joe...
This is what he does. He plays like this nice, sweet guy, and then he turns on you, which he did, and that's exactly what happened, because when he came up to her and he said that, and Joe Fuda said, admit it to me, I'm not going to be friends with you until you apologize.
And then he turned.
And then you saw...
Well, that's what he kept doing.
And Joe Gorga pulled him away.
Joe Gorga was saying that when before they got up to leave, he kept saying that you do things like that where you'll say, oh, I want to get along, I want everybody to love each other, and then you're like, due time. This will happen. Yeah. Watch out. Watch back. Let's play. Like, he puts all those stupid things out there.
And Joe one of my favorite things too, Joe said was, he said, you're trying to set me and my sister up to fight. And both him and Teresa go, no, he's not. And he goes, you didn't think I've been watching this whole season? which is true. What do you mean?
You can see him.
And then if big fight broke out, so Louis didn't get to address that by like his comments. That was the other thing too. They never got to talk about was like they never went into. They talk about the Gia and the like making the comment about Melissa. But why did nobody address? No, but what about the comment she made on the show? Yeah, on that damn white couch when they brought the other girl out about she doesn't want to talk about it. They never addressed any of that either. So it's kind of like I don't even know.
Then they get into Pizzagate. They touch on the Pizzagate, which I mean, it was basically what they said. He basically admitted to everything that Joe Gorga said because Joe Gorga said he took the idea, he gave us the money, he met with my nephew, we had the pizza ovens ready to roll out,
and they are confirmed in a warehouse in New Jersey. We will find these pizza ovens.
And he said he went with the name Skinny Pizza.
Yeah, Skinny Pizza.
Skinny Pizza because he said it was a brand out there. And listen, maybe if you had spoken with them, Joe would have said, you know what, you're right. She does have Skinny something out there. So why don't we call it Skinny Gorgas or Skinny or something? Like there's something to tie all the kids or I don't know, together somehow. If that's what they wanted to do. Yeah. And I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. It is a brand that's out there. It's well known. But you didn't have to like he felt like he went and stole it from underneath him or he moved forward without consulting him or having him involved when his idea was to have this be something that him and his sister was doing. The kids were going to be involved. Like he thought it was going to be a real true family affair. Even during that story, Teresa gets involved. She starts interrupting. He says that he stole the idea from him. And that's when Paulie and Nate start talking about the pizza, which I thought was hilarious.
One of my favorite things too, I don't know when Joe said it, but Joe says, "You're like the Joker, man."
Oh, he said you look like the Joker. It was right around there.
And you know what? I'm so glad me and him are on the same wavelength because if you went back to our finale episode, I said the exact same thing. I said him going down those stairs laughing to himself. He is the Joker
he looked
without
like
the bleach face. So I'm glad that
he's the opposite. He's beat red.
Yeah, he's like, well.
It was supposed to call it Skinny Italian. He was going with Skinny Italian. Yeah, the Skinny Italian pizza oven. But he was so confident in this whole thing. That's what baffles me. And then they ask Fuda because they say he owns several businesses, and they're like,
"Oh my God, that was horrible." That part.
Yeah. So then they're like, so he's trying to speak, and she's like constantly interrupting, and he's like, "I'm trying to get the answers. Will you please stop?" Fuda tells them when he finally gets to get a word in edgewise that yes, you should have an agreement in place.
Which why do they do all these family businesses without contracts?
I don't know.
Like you gotta stop.
You gotta do. I don't think they're gonna do much. He said they should have had a thing in place, and if it was his idea, he should have had it. Like there should have been a percentage or whatever was gonna go to him or what have you. And then they mention Dina's husband. They go into that whole thing and how Louis, of course, goes with the only thing that he can go. He's like, oh yeah, aren't you being sued by him? Yes. He might have threatened him or something and said, I'm going to sue him because he mentioned me on TV.
Yes, which Melissa cleared up.
Both of them admitted right away, and Melissa admitted it multiple times. We should have never spoke about him on TV. We totally agree that was wrong. And, they're taking accountability. Something Louis does not do about anything. It's so bad. And then, of course, somehow Teresa gets involved and starts yelling, and she just will not stop. She won't stop.
No, it's like you can't even make out what they're saying. No. Like it is literally I couldn't even begin to tell you. Like I wish Bravo, screw releasing the extra 6 minutes. I need you to give me the file with everybody's individual mic so I can mute each person and listen to it separately. Like
that's what COVID was great about. They used to do that.
Yeah, we need the mic cut basically where you could just play each scene when they all start fighting, have it just be Melissa's mic. Okay, now rewatch the scene with just Teresa's, just Louis, like because you can't even
no. And then, like, here comes this out of nowhere. I mean, I don't know if you had anything in between that, but Joe Gorga accuses him of being a woman abuser. Yeah. And I was like, where are we going with this?
Actually, we can jump ahead to this a little bit here. I forgot I wrote this down. So, Louis' ex-wife is actually filing a restraining order on him after she claimed that he hired a PI to stalk her. She is a therapist, and supposedly he hired a PI to pose as a patient and go into and have like a meeting with her under a fake name.
Well, that's what Rachel Fuda said, that her and Melissa were having lunch and Bo Dietl was sitting there like a table away, and she's like, coincidence? I don't think so.
Here's my thing though. If Bo Dietl is so famous, which I never heard of Bo Dietl.
I never did either.
world-renowned Bo Dietl. Never heard of him. But here's my thing. If he's so famous, you'd think he'd be a little less obvious and not sit at the table. I mean, I'm sure he was trying to listen.
I think he was doing it to be like... I think he was doing it to be like in your
face,
like, here I am.
Well, I also am hearing that Bo Dietl's now going out saying, like, Joe Gorga needs to watch himself and stop talking about me, stop bringing up my name. Which I did see a lot of other people online saying, it's your own boy, Louis, bringing up your name. Like, nobody would have mentioned Bo Dietl.
Yeah, like I was telling you, I saw something just now where he contacted Andy after the show... After the reunion, and then again after it aired. Sis!
Just smacked him on the head.
Sis, stop. And then he texted him again the day after the show aired, saying, like, I just want to reiterate that he never hired me. I never looked into any of these people. Why he said this, like, but he didn't say, I don't know why my friend said this. Like, he didn't address any of that either. But I guess that's what the woman abuser thing is. And Teresa, of course, is like, no, he treats me like a queen. Would we know if he didn't? I don't think so, but I think his temper says a lot for him. So Andy has to stop again and tell everybody to stop chiming in. I don't want every question taking a turn to a detour. And honestly, he's on point because that's exactly what's going on here. Every question is sidelined to a detour.
That's what I'm saying. Like, somehow it's back now. We're talking with John Fuda and the kids. Marge is back with her little paper, this and that, and it's like, my God. I'm gonna be honest, it was so chaotic that Jennifer Aiden barely even opened her mouth. And how often does that happen? I forgot Danielle was there half the time because she was quiet too. She was probably plotting and planning now for her revenge scheme.
So
honestly,
it's so painful.
Guys, please, please keep listening to our podcast so we can grow. And one day that we can get like a studio that isn't in our apartment building where our cats are fighting each other, where our neighbors are fighting their kids. Like,
no, don't wink at me.
Please, guys, keep listening. Please leave us a good rating. Please help boost us up because we need help. So we're gonna quickly detour to the FBI comment because we're not sure where that fell, but they bring it up to tell Joe that your sister brought this up or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
I think he says I want to. The Dina comment.
I think I think he said I want to also mention something that your sister brought up earlier, and he went into the whole.
Which I think the biggest part to me, which makes me feel like, do I think Joe actually snitched? No, because they bring up the fact that Frank was working for him at the time, which was a big thing, and he's
Frank
like,
was
"Do you
his
want to
lawyer?" And he said, "Would you?" Because all of a sudden Frank goes into this, Joe. So do you mind? You'll release the client privilege confidence, and we're like, what?
I was thinking, I'm like, what the hell are these arm about?
And then Joe, who knows that Joe's like, of course. And then it comes to light that because that was when Frank Catania was still a lawyer, and we all forget he was a lawyer, and that's why he's saying he doesn't want to be investigated because Frank Catania has a lot of stuff. Let's not kid ourselves. And he probably does not want anybody going deep into him and starting crap that he doesn't need to bring back up to the surface. He had a lot of problems. That's why he was disbarred. So he has a lot of issues.
But I just feel like that was the biggest thing to bring out because, like, at the time, Frank was his lawyer. So it's not just, like, some random lawyer. Like, it's somebody who's a part of the show that knows and did clear up his name and said he didn't say anything. Obviously, because it's Louis Mate, would Frank maybe lie? Maybe. But I just felt like that was something.
I don't think he would because you can tell when Frank's like exaggerating or storytelling or something. He just didn't look this whole episode like he was doing any of that.
Well, no, he did say, Frank also said too, I think it was in the beginning, like, usually I stay quiet. But when there's something I need to speak up about, I'm going to speak up about. And that's what I felt like, that's what we were getting from him was that, like, okay, no, you're lying here, so it's time to speak up.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that because I was like, that was pretty big.
And then they go into the cheating and they really just primarily want to ask him, like, why did you not invite Melissa? And, like, listen.
And his classy answer.
Stupid.
I forgot.
He forgot. But
I should have done it. I'm sorry.
No.
That's what he does. I'm sorry, Melissa. I should have done it. No, but with the hand.
No, but here's the thing. If I heard that my sister-in-law was cheating on my brother, I probably wouldn't bring her into it either. I would have my brother come over and I would talk to him separately from her and say, listen, this is what I heard. And when somebody would ask me, well, why didn't you invite her? I'd say, I wanted to speak privately to my brother.
That's not his brother, though.
Yeah, but even if it was Louis, like, like, you could have just said, I just felt like this is Teresa's brother. Like, he could have said, this is Teresa's brother. So not that Melissa's not my family, but this is my wife's blood. So I wanted to speak to him privately just to put this out there. And then, maybe then we should have had Melissa come into the scene or something, but I just wanted to speak to him privately. But it's like, and most people would have been like, okay, well, that sounds more sincere, more nice. Instead of, like, the half-ass answers they were giving, or I don't know why I didn't invite her.
The answer
like,
could have simply been,
so
you already
stupid.
know we don't involve Melissa in just about everything, so why would you think we involved her in this? They could have said that, and that would have went over better.
And then, of course, Andy was wrong, and Andy said that Teresa was saying that he could do better, and she has said that he can do better than Melissa. She's definitely said it.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
yeah.
it wasn't that particular time, and I believe Gia said that too. I don't care. I believe she's very vindictive. She can be vindictive. She's angry. She will say shit. And, like, of course, when they, she's like, well, I'll call her right now. She had too many people too quickly on speed dial, too ready to roll out. I'm sorry. She had all that too easily.
Yeah, you're telling me it's that quiet at Coachella?
No, she was at a resort, but still in all. Like,
well, for Coachella weekend, but still,
you like had this all like ready to roll, and she just like picked up the phone. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. I think
here's my thing though. If it was that situation I was in, I'm not gonna come and go, yeah, hey everybody at the reunion. Yeah, I did say that to my uncle. I told him.
That's what
like,
that's what she said. Like, Melissa said, like, what do you think, she's just gonna admit it? Of course not. She's gonna lie and say she didn't say it, and that's just the way. And then Teresa does the most worst, stupidest storm off I've ever seen in my life. She storms off and starts screaming, and don't come following me. Nobody was following her.
Andy didn't even give her the classic, where are you going? Sit back down. He didn't even say anything. He looked relieved.
Like
a piece of silence.
We're going to have a break now. Like, he didn't
He's like, should I bring the pizza out now?
Yeah. He didn't even, like, look for... And I think...
Until the very end, he finally got up. Because the producer probably is in his ear like, Andy,
well, no, he said, I'll go talk to her or something. Because they were saying, I guess, that she didn't want to come out or something. Probably was. They were probably saying it in his ear.
Can you come check on her?
Yeah, so... I mean, she starts in the back about, oh, I can't believe that they're saying this about my daughter and blah, blah, blah. And she's already on the phone with Gia once again. He asks, while he has them separate, like, he asks Louis, like, so how do you feel about, like, all the stuff that's coming at you? He didn't really answer again. Like, somehow, I don't know how he kind of got around it, but...
It's like generic answers.
I don't know how he does it, but...
I mean, but Louis did throw her right under the bus, Gia. He said that we talked to her one of the nights, either the night before the wedding or just the other night.
Well, he was actually throwing her under the bus.
That's what I'm saying.
He said something
she said something like that.
Well, he said...
Oh, it was the night before the wedding,
well, he said when we were talking in the kitchen, she said... I didn't say that, but I might have said something to the effect of, you could do better by my mom.
Yeah.
So somehow Andy gets her to come back.
Yeah, I think he tells her, he goes, come on, let's just go back. I'm going to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's just go back. We're going to wrap it up. It's going to be done.
Which, in my opinion, I think if Andy didn't finally have the realization, like with the guys out there, I think this could have went to a fourth part.
Oh my God.
Because I don't think he walked into this, like, having the realization, like, this is not going to go well. Like, no. I think he had a sliver of hope when he should have had zero. And honestly, I kind of wish they did like the Vanderpump reunion style reunion. They could have just had Joe and Melissa, like Teresa and Louis. Yeah. They could have sat them down individually, just let them air their sides, and then let the screaming go on, because you couldn't get anything out of anybody.
But I don't think he thought it was going to be quite that bad. I really don't. I think he thought it was going to be. But like he says, when they come back, he wraps it up, and he's like, okay, so in the beginning you said you wanted peace and such, and
yeah,
like,
he basically
what do you...
asked them.
And he said, Joe and Teresa, do you have anything that you want to say, like one last thing to them? And Joe tried, like he literally tried. Like he said, I'm always gonna love you. If you were into a car accident in the hospital tomorrow, I would come be the first one there. He made comments, and she shot him down every comment he made, and he said, see, look at that, so what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So like she's not even giving him that opening anymore. So it has to be over. And he said, then we just need to go our separate ways. You live your life, I live my life, and just call it a day.
Yeah.
Which is really sad, but I mean, that's kind of where they left it. They were like,
they sent them off.
Yeah. He gets up, he shakes, Frank Catania's hand. He tells, what's his name, Joe, I wish you like the most luck or whatever. But it's like, it's just so funny because we know what you just did 2 seconds ago. There's no way you're gonna really truly wish him luck.
It's like he flips a switch.
It's bizarre. There's no way you're wishing him luck. And then that's when he does the Fuda thing.
Yeah.
He goes over to Fuda and tells the wife, oh, I'm very, I'm proud of what you were doing. That's really good, Mom, and what you're doing is good. But, John Fuda's not going to take that. He's not, no. I mean, if they come back next season, I can guarantee he's going to get more involved in the situation, and it's not going to be pretty.
Like, yeah, I don't think he'll let Rachel even try to have some kind of friendship with Teresa at all.
No, I don't think so either.
Because it's just, I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't think she would either, though. To be honest with you, I just don't see them.
Yeah, and then when they had the alcohol and pizza, Teresa was the only person who didn't eat pizza.
Really?
Yes,
That's
she
weird.
was the only one who didn't take a slice, which is like
That was weird. I didn't notice.
weird.
That.
Yeah, inkling number one, weird. You didn't have a slice of pizza because they were all like happy because, you know, even though they had lunch, they still went on to film for hours. It was probably
Cool. Stop.
dinner time. All right, so should we do some quick closing overall thoughts? Even though we kind
Well, in the end, they asked that. See, this is what makes me sad. It makes me think Melissa and Joe will come back and not Teresa. Because maybe they will do something, you said, like try a spinoff for her or something to see, is she really that valuable? My thing is, Joe tried to make a statement when Andy asked him, like, I'll always be your brother, I'll always love you, I'll always this, always that. Leaving the door open, trying to leave the door open, even though he knows it's really...
Okay, we're going to quickly, as you can hear, they're screaming again. We're going to quickly give our thoughts because we've just recorded 2 podcasts in like 2 hours, and I have like the most excruciating headache from listening to children scream. If I wanted to hear it, I would have them. I already had to listen last night to the Housewives scream at each other like children. You think I want to hear this again?
So,
overall thoughts.
Wait.
You had one.
I was just
finishing.
finishing. Which was my overall thought, kind of. That I think that Teresa and Joe will be the ones coming back because they kind of, even though they acted both like children through the whole thing, Teresa and Melissa.
Not our problem.
So, but Melissa again said, "You can see the hate. You can see the hate. We can all see the hate." And
I can't. By the way, they also have their TV on.
All right, so
sorry guys.
So she's like, so you can see the hate, and she goes, so I don't know where I'm supposed to go from that. You hated me for having my child when you were getting
when she was getting married, she
you
was
were pregnant or whatever. Like she said, there was
always
something. Nothing I could do was right,
which is true.
So she said to Andy, she said, I will do whatever the family wants to do.
Yeah.
So meaning, like, if Joe wants to talk to her,
I think that was really smart to say because that just took everything off.
No, but I think that's what.
Like, if Joe doesn't want to, I'm not going to reach out to you.
No, I think that's
what
exactly what. And I think that's exactly what she do. If Joe wants to be friends, she will put it out and she will make them friends. But Teresa again shot her down. So I don't see. Yeah. I don't see that working.
My thing with the future cast is like, watching it because of how Melissa and Teresa acted, I want to be like, no, like just clean them out. Do I think we need a whole new cast? No. I think we have a really great, amazing base cast with Danielle, Rachel, Marge, Dolores, and even Jennifer Aiden. I know Jennifer Aiden can get on my nerves, but I think removing Teresa, I think she would still be like,
I think she'd be troublesome, but I don't think she would be.
I don't think she would annoy me as much. Like, I think it's Teresa.
I think it could be Danielle and Jennifer Aiden starring trouble.
Yeah, or with each other, with Martin.
No, I think like they could be those two against the...
Yeah, I think there's still a lot that we could go with, even just them. Even if you didn't want to put the Fez in there, which I think you should.
No, I think they would.
I'm just saying, because I don't think she's going to bring drama in, but I think she'll just be like a good time.
You don't know what happens when she becomes a housewife.
Who knows?
They change.
She may. I think, personally, Teresa needs to go because I think her world needs to get a little shaken up. Like, I think she needs to, like, get knocked down a peg and just have this, like, realization you are not the be all end all. She needs like a reality check. I mean, I do also think, like, I think she needs to realize, like, you can't come on the show and just do whatever you want. Like, you do need to have a storyline to some extent. I do think Melissa's a little bit more likely to stay because Melissa will fight with Jennifer Aiden as well.
But there's little things that she did that was like, hey, Coop, no. Like, Melissa apologized to Andy.
I think there's that.
She's like, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. This is wrong. This is, this is wrong. Like, she gets it. Where, like, Teresa, I think they might try to give Teresa, like I said, her own show just to see, is her popularity really holding? Because Joe Gorga said that. He's like, what are you doing? You're ruining yourself. And he's like, she's not ruining herself. No, she was. She really making herself look bad.
Like, this season,
even the guys that I listened to said that
this reminds me of Leah's season 2 of her second season of New York. Because she just went too far. I was on my Instagram. I was going through my old Instagram stories, and back in the day, I shared a thing that somebody had said for Leah. I've never seen a housewife so loved in their first season and so hated in their second.
And I think that's where most Teresa's getting.
And I think it's people are just like I'm saying, I'm really gonna stick to my thoughts of the Ramonification has happened to her. Mm-hmm. It's too much for too long. Like, I do think, like, it's nice to have these casts for a long time and have the same ones.
But if they're not,
you're not growing and evolving, you
It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. That's
like,
the way it is.
Here's the thing. Like, Luann went to prison and came out like a totally different person. Actually, like, I started to enjoy Luann.
But she did too. But then she did. But remember, she had the whole namaste. But then once Louis came, that's what they said. They said it was back to something.
In my opinion, it's Louis. That's my opinion. Overall, I walk away from feeling no closure from this reunion.
No,
and I'm not even saying it from the front of like that. I'm like, oh, I expected everybody to make up and be good.
Just no answers.
There's just nobody truly answered a question. There was nothing. They just sat there and yelled at each other for 40 minutes each week. And it's like, huh?
I mean, Dolores did give.
If I wanted that, I would have just listened to put my ear on the wall over here.
She did a nice little toast at the end. She did that old fighting, drinking.
She read it off her phone.
Yeah, that's a very typical one where people say like, if you're gonna fight for me. If you're gonna,
Moral story: who knows when they're coming back? Who knows who's coming back?
Yeah, that's the thing. At this point, we don't even know.
So you know what you should do? Leave us hopefully a good rating and let us know who you would want to come back next season, or like who you want gone. Do you want both gone? Do you want one gone? Do you want none gone? Do you want them to try to give it another go? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think it would depend. The only thing I would want if they were going to get rid of them is to like bring them on Watch What Happens Live or something, and give them like an individual sit down. Like bring Louis on Watch What Happens Live and question him real.
He did ask, I think, Dolores, because he said, you've known them the longest, you've been on the longest. What do you think needs to go on here? And she said, I think they need to walk away from each other. She goes, I think they can't talk to each other anymore. I think it's too toxic, and they just need time. They definitely need time away from each other. So even at this point, where the cast members last time used to be like, no, you got to be family, you got to give it a try.
Try to make up.
You got to, try to keep going. Like when these guys that have been with them and they're saying no.
Plus, also you have to keep in mind, Teresa's probably the highest paid housewife. Yeah. You take her out, that's going to be a lot of money that you could get actually a multitude of new wives to put like a big cast to try in one season as well. Yeah. Or the thought that we came out when this very first aired, a North and a South housewife of New Jersey. You break them up, which you could if you split the cast. I don't know. It's still an idea.
You could, but
it would be interesting.
All right, well, that's it. No one knows when we'll see New Jersey again.
But you know who we are seeing? The OC. So, my God, I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video. You're probably, maybe you are, but maybe you're not. But you're like, where's your Vanderpump Rules episode? So we were watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta, but like the day before we were going to film our Vanderpump thing, secrets revealed. Yeah. So we're going to watch the secrets revealed, and then next weekend. We didn't know they were doing secrets revealed.
I didn't think they had that so.
No, and usually when they do secrets revealed, they don't promote them with an ad.
No.
On TV. So that's what makes me think, okay, we should at least watch this. I don't know if it's going to give us anything, but we'll see. So that's what we have up and coming. We upload the Real Housewives of OC every Monday. The Vanderpump Rules episode will be up on Wednesday. Like I said, make sure you leave us a good rating, answer our question that we asked. Okay. Maybe I'll do a poll on Spotify for our Spotify listeners. I'll put that question, housewife question, there. If you're not on Spotify and you're on Apple Podcasts or somewhere else, just put it in the rating. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Don't give us a If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, don't give us a No.
Don't give us a thumbs down. Leave us a comment telling us how we can improve. I did it.
Thank you. I can. Apparently, he doesn't cry for you.
I miss Mama.
And make sure you subscribe and follow and turn on notifications, and so you don't miss any
future podcasts.
Any episodes or podcasts. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And check out our other podcasts. We talk about it all. We upload every other Friday. This Friday there was one that just went up, so make sure you check it out.
Let me go hit the button so I can go feed this screamer.
Like my head. Oh, my hands are cold. It feels nice. Oh my God. Now he's gonna join us and be quiet.
He's sitting on where my
hands. We'll be back on Monday and Wednesday. Okay. I need an ice pack and some ibuprofen.
Okay. Hit the button